The great hall stretched wide and tall, built from materials that shimmered like captured starlight. 40 different species filled the chamber, each representative sitting in pods designed for their unique biology. Some breathed methane, others existed partially in dimensions human eyes could not see. At the center of it all stood Commander Ji-hoon, hands bound in energy restraints that hummed with alien technology. He did not struggle against the bonds. There was no point. Ji-hoon stood straight, his military uniform torn in places from the arrest 3 days ago. His dark eyes swept across the assembled aliens, meeting their gazes without fear or pleading. He had been a soldier for 20 years. He knew how to face death with dignity. The Supreme Arbiter rose from the highest platform. Its body resembled a floating jellyfish made of crystal and light. When it spoke, every species heard the words in their own language through neural implants. The Galactic Council has gathered to decide the fate of species designation 773. The humans of planet Earth. Ji-hoon felt his jaw tighten. Species designation. Not even worthy of their real name. He had spent 3 years as Earth's military liaison to the Galactic Council. 3 years of diplomatic meetings and cultural exchanges. 3 years of humanity offering their art, their music, their scientific discoveries. And this was how it ended. Ambassador Mirai sat in the human observation pod, her face pale but composed. She was older than Ji-hoon by a decade, her hair streaked with gray. She had believed so strongly in peaceful contact. She had argued before this very council that humanity could be a valuable partner. Now she watched as that dream turned to ash. The Supreme Arbiter continued speaking. Humanity made contact with the galactic community 3.2 standard cycles ago. Initial assessments deemed them suitable for limited integration. However, extensive observation has revealed concerning factors. A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed Earth from space, blue and green and beautiful. Then the image zoomed in. Cities appeared, factories, ships moving across oceans, satellites orbiting overhead. Human industrial capacity exceeds initial projections by 400%, the Arbiter said. Their technological advancement rate is unprecedented. In 3 cycles, they have reverse-engineered 70% of basic galactic technology. Their population grows at alarming rates. Their resource consumption is aggressive and expanding. Ji-hoon wanted to shout. Everything the Arbiter described was normal for a developing species. Humanity was curious and ambitious. These were not crimes. The hologram changed. Now it showed human soldiers in training, combat footage from Earth's wars, weapons firing, cities burning. The images were carefully selected, showing only violence and destruction. Most concerning is their violent nature, the Arbiter declared. Humanity has engaged in continuous warfare throughout their recorded history. They have developed over 40,000 variations of weapons. Their entertainment media glorifies combat. Psychological analysis indicates a species-wide predisposition toward aggression and territorial expansion. A representative from the Talsic Consortium spoke up. Its voice buzzed like thousands of insects. We have seen their delegation. They appear cooperative and peaceful. A deception, another representative countered. This one resembled a Livingstone formation. Our intelligence suggests humanity has been withholding their true military capabilities. They present themselves as weak to gain our trust. Mirai activated her communication channel. Honored Council, humanity has been transparent in all dealings. We came in peace because we choose peace. Yes, we have a violent history, but we have also learned from it. We have grown beyond our worst impulses. The Supreme Arbiter's glow pulsed in a pattern that suggested dismissal. Your intentions are irrelevant, Ambassador. This council must consider the long-term stability of the galactic community. Humanity represents a potential threat that cannot be ignored. Then quarantine us, Mirai said quickly. Restrict our expansion until we prove ourselves trustworthy. We will accept monitoring and limitations. Quarantine is insufficient, the stone being replied. Humanity controls a resource-rich star system in a strategic location. Leaving such assets in potentially hostile hands is unacceptable. Ji-hoon felt cold realization settle over him. This was not about fear or caution. This was about greed. Earth's solar system contained rare minerals, abundant water, and perfect positioning for trade routes. The Council wanted humanity's home, and they were creating justifications for taking it. The Supreme Arbiter called for testimonies. One by one, species representatives stood and spoke. The Viscari Collective described humanity as dangerously unpredictable, The Holvath Empire presented economic models showing human competition would disrupt established trade networks. The Yilian Federation shared biological studies suggesting humans bred too quickly and would overwhelm colony worlds. Every testimony painted humanity as a threat, a problem that needed solving. Not a single voice spoke in their defense except Mirai, and her words fell on deaf ears. The evidence is clear, the Supreme Arbiter finally announced. Humanity cannot be integrated as equals. However, their potential usefulness cannot be denied. Therefore, the Galactic Council proposes the following resolution. The hologram changed one final time. It showed Earth surrounded by a blockade of warships. It showed human cities with alien governors. It showed humans working in mines and factories under alien supervision. Humanity shall be redesignated as a servitor species, the Arbiter declared. Earth and all human colonies will be placed under council administration. Human reproduction will be controlled. Human labor will be allocated to maximize galactic benefit. This arrangement will continue until humanity demonstrates sufficient evolutionary development to warrant reconsideration. Estimated time frame: 5 to 15,000 standard cycles. The words hit like physical blows. Servitor species, slavery. They were going to enslave humanity. Ji-hoon found his voice. You cannot do this. We are sentient beings. We have rights. You have the rights we grant you, the stone being replied coldly. Your species is young and dangerous. You should be grateful we are allowing you to survive at all. Many argued for extermination. Mirai was speaking rapidly into her communicator, trying to reach Earth, but jamming fields blocked all signals. The Council had prepared for this moment. They had cut humanity off before delivering their judgment. All in favor of Resolution 773, the redesignation and administration of humanity as a servitor species, indicate now. The voting lights appeared before each representative. One by one they illuminated in agreement. Green for yes, red for no. Ji-hoon watched in horror as green lights filled the chamber. The Talsic Consortium, the Holvath Empire, the Yilian Federation, species humanity had shared meals with, exchanged gifts with, trusted. Every single light turned green. Not one species voted against humanity's enslavement. Not one voice rose in their defense. 40 civilizations, representing thousands of worlds and trillions of beings, unanimously agreed that humanity should be property. The resolution passes with full council support, the Supreme Arbiter announced. Implementation will begin immediately. Military forces are already en route to Earth. Mirai's face had gone from pale to gray. Her hands shook as she gripped the edge of her pod. You are making a mistake, she whispered, but her voice carried through the chamber's acoustics. You're making a terrible mistake. The Supreme Arbiter tilted its crystalline body in what might have been amusement. Humanity will adapt to their new role. In time, they will understand this is for the best. They will be cared for, directed, given purpose. This is mercy. Ji-hoon thought of his children back on Earth. His daughter wanted to be a doctor. His son loved painting. What would their lives become under alien masters? What future did any human have now? The council chamber began to empty. Representatives departed to celebrate their decision, to claim their shares of Earth's resources, to plan their administration of humanity's subjugation. They spoke casually among themselves as if they had just decided on trade regulations rather than the fate of billions. Mirai managed to bypass the jamming for just a moment. She sent a single encrypted burst transmission toward Earth. 3 words that would reach humanity before the invasion fleets arrived. They are coming. Then the signal cut out, and there was only silence. Earth went dark. Every human colony ceased transmission simultaneously. Space stations evacuated. Settlements on Mars and Europa shut down completely. Within 6 hours of the Council's vote, humanity simply vanished from galactic communications. The alien fleets arrived at Earth 3 days later. They found empty cities, abandoned military bases, ghost towns on every continent. Orbital platforms drifted without crew. The entire human presence had seemingly evaporated. Admiral Krennic of the Holvath fleet sent confused reports back to the Council. There is no resistance. There are no humans. Where did they go? The Supreme Arbiter was unconcerned. They have gone into hiding. Primitive panic response. Send ground forces. Locate their shelters. Begin processing operations. And so the alien occupation began. They landed troops in every major city. They set up administrative centers in humanity's empty government buildings. They claimed the factories and farms and mines. They divided Earth's continents among themselves like merchants splitting profits. They celebrated their blow. The underground facility stretched for miles in every direction. Tunnels connected massive chambers carved from solid rock. Each chamber served a purpose: living quarters, medical centers, training grounds, armories, command centers. Humanity had built an entire civilization beneath the surface, hidden from alien sensors and satellite scans. General Hayek walked through the main command center. Screens covered every wall, showing feeds from thousands of cameras hidden across Earth's surface. He watched alien soldiers patrol through Seoul, watched their ships land in Paris, watched their governors claim the empty halls of government buildings in Washington and Beijing and Moscow. The aliens moved with confidence. They believed they had won. They believed humanity had surrendered without a fight. That was exactly what Hayek wanted them to believe. He stopped at a table where scientist Damon worked alongside a team of engineers. Holographic displays showed alien technology in pieces, every component analyzed and understood. Damon looked up, pushing his glasses higher on his nose. Dark circles under his eyes showed he had not slept in days. "Show me," Hugh said simply. Damon activated a new display. A three-dimensional model of an alien warship rotated slowly. Red dots marked weak points throughout the structure. Their shields look impressive, but they have a fundamental flaw. They assume attackers will use energy weapons like theirs. Our kinetic weapons will pass right through. He switched to another model. This one showed alien body armor. Same problem here. Their armor stops plasma and lasers perfectly, but old-fashioned bullets? He smiled without humor. They might as well be wearing paper. Hyuk nodded slowly. This was what humanity had learned over 3 years of seemingly friendly contact. While smiling and shaking hands with alien ambassadors, human scientists had studied every piece of technology the aliens shared. They found the weaknesses. They found the flaws. They found ways to kill. "How long until we are ready?" Hyuk asked. "The weapons are ready now," Damon replied. "Engineer Soman finished the last production run yesterday. We have enough equipment to arm every soldier and pilot." Soman approached from across the room. She was young, barely 30, but brilliant. She had designed weapon systems that made human military engineers weep with joy. Her prototype railguns could punch through alien ship hulls like they were made of foil. Her improved missiles moved faster than alien point defense systems could track. "We held back so much," Soman said quietly. "When they came to Earth, we showed them our merchant ships, slow, unarmed. We showed them our research vessels, peaceful exploration craft. We never showed them what we could really build." Hayek remembered the decision to hide humanity's true capabilities. It had been controversial. Many wanted to demonstrate strength, to warn potential enemies that humanity could defend itself. But cooler heads prevailed. Better to appear weak. Better to let potential enemies underestimate you. In war, surprise was worth more than intimidation. "What about the pilots?" Hyuk asked. Soman's expression darkened. "Talk to Jiwon, she has been training them." Hayuk found pilot Jiwon in one of the underground hangars. The space was enormous, carved from a natural cave system and expanded over years of secret construction. Rows of fighters filled the hangar. They looked nothing like the clumsy civilian craft humanity had shown the aliens. These were predators, sleek and angular, covered in materials that absorbed sensor sweeps, armed with weapons that could turn alien cruisers into debris. Jiwon stood beside her personal fighter, running a hand along its hull. She had been a test pilot before the aliens arrived. Now she commanded humanity's first strike force, 2,000 pilots trained to her exacting standards. "Are they ready?" Hyuk asked. Jiwon did not turn around. "They are angry. They want revenge. That makes them dangerous, but also reckless." She finally looked at him. "I have been teaching them to channel their anger, to use it as fuel but not let it control them. We get one shot at this, General. One chance to show the galaxy what happens when you try to enslave humanity. Can they do it?" "Yes," her voice was certain. "They can do it, and they will enjoy every moment." Hyuk moved through other sections of the facility. He visited the soldiers training in combat simulators. They practiced fighting in alien environments. They learned how different species moved and fought. They studied weak points in alien biology, where to shoot for quick kills, where to cut for maximum damage. Commander Inha ran the Tactical Planning Division. She was older, Gray-haired, a veteran of 3 different wars. She had fought humans before the aliens arrived. Now she fought for all humanity. The aliens have divided Earth among themselves, she explained, showing Hayuk a map. The Holvath Empire took North America. The Veskari Collective claimed Europe and Asia. The Yilian Federation controls South America and Africa. They are not working together well. Each species wants to maximize their profit. Good, Hyuk said. Greed makes them sloppy. Exactly. Inha smiled. They are also predictable. Every species follows the same occupation pattern. Secure cities first, then resource centers, then rural areas. They assume resistance will be strongest in cities, so they concentrate forces there. But the cities are empty. Yes. And while they waste time securing empty buildings, their supply lines stretch thin. Their troops spread out. They make themselves vulnerable. She highlighted several locations on the map. These are their main supply depots. These are their command centers. These are where their governors have set up headquarters. We hit all of them simultaneously. Hyuk studied the plan. It was aggressive, risky, but it could work. When? 3 months. Give them time to settle in. Let them think they have won. Let them get comfortable. Then we strike. Those 3 months felt like 3 years. Every day humans watched aliens walk through their cities. Aliens who thought they owned Earth now. Aliens who made plans for how to use human labor, how to breed humans for specific tasks, how to break human culture and replace it with obedience. The aliens found some humans in remote areas, people who had been unable to reach the underground facilities in time. The footage of what happened to them spread through the underground network. Humans forced to kneel. Humans collared and tagged like animals. Humans worked until they collapsed, then punished for weakness. The anger in the underground facilities became a living thing. Soldiers trained harder. Pilots flew more missions. Engineers built more weapons. Everyone wanted their chance to fight back. Finally, the day came. General Hayuk stood before a massive screen showing every human soldier, pilot, and support staff in the underground network. Millions of faces looked back at him, young and old, soldiers and civilians, people from every nation that had once existed on Earth's surface. 3 months ago, 40 alien species voted to enslave us. Hyuk began. His voice was calm but hard as iron. They thought we were weak. They thought our kindness meant we could not fight. They mistook our peaceful nature for inability to wage war. He paused, letting his words sink in. They were wrong. Humanity has fought wars for thousands of years. We have destroyed empires. We have toppled kingdoms. We have survived plagues and ice ages and our own worst impulses. We are still here. We are still strong, and now we will teach the galaxy what happens when you threaten our freedom. The faces on the screen showed no fear, only determination, only rage held in check. In 6 hours, we launch Operation Fury. We will take back our cities. We will destroy their fleets. We will drive every alien invader from our world. And then, his voice grew colder, then we will visit every species that voted to enslave us. We will make them understand the price of their decision. We will make them regret the day they decided humanity should wear chains. Cheers erupted across the underground network. Not happy cheers. These were battle cries, war shouts, the sound of a species pushed to its breaking point and choosing violence. Pilot Jiwan climbed into her fighter. Around her, 2,000 other pilots did the same. The hangar doors began to open, not to the surface but to hidden tunnels that led to launch points scattered across the planet. The aliens would never see them coming. Engineer Soman activated weapon systems in 100 different locations. Railguns hidden in mountains, missile silos disguised as ordinary buildings, drone swarms waiting in underground warehouses, all of it coming online at once. Soldier Junho checked his rifle one final time. Around him, his squad did the same. They were about to assault an alien command post in what used to be called London. 300 alien troops occupied the building. Junho's squad numbered 30. He liked those odds. Commander Inha watched the countdown on her screen. 6 hours became 5, became 4, became 3. The aliens in orbit had no idea what was coming. They thought they controlled Earth. They thought the hard part was over. Some were already sending resources back to their home worlds. Others planned their retirement on wealth earned from human labor. Admiral Krennics of the Holvath fleet sat in his command chair, reviewing reports. Everything was proceeding perfectly. A few human holdouts in remote areas, but nothing concerning. In another month, they would have full control. Then the real prophet could begin. His sensor officer called out, "Admiral, I am detecting unusual seismic activity across the planet." Krennic barely looked up. Earthquake. The first alien warship died in silence. Space carried no sound. So when pilot Jiwan's missile tore through the Hulvath cruiser's hull, nobody heard the explosion. But everyone saw it. The massive ship broke apart in a burst of atmosphere and fire. Debris scattered in all directions. Escape pods launched too late. Secondary explosions rippled along the dying vessel's length. Jiwan did not pause to watch. Her fighter was already moving toward the next target. Around her, 2,000 human pilots struck the alien fleet like a swarm of angry hornets. Their ships were small and fast. The aliens had built their fleet for fighting other massive warships. They never expected tiny fighters that moved like dancers and hit like hammers. Admiral Krennic watched his fleet die. 3 cruisers gone in the first minute. 7 more taking heavy damage. His point defense systems could not track the human fighters. They moved too fast and too unpredictably. His own weapons were too slow, designed for long-range bombardment of other capital ships. "Return fire," he screamed at his crew. "Shoot them down." But his weapons could not hit what they could not track. Human fighters wove between his ships, firing missiles and railgun rounds. Each hit punched through shields that had been designed to stop energy weapons. The kinetic rounds the humans used simply ignored those shields and tore into hull plating. On Earth's surface, the attack was even more devastating. Soldier Junho and his squad emerged from a tunnel directly beneath the alien command post in London. They came up through the basement, moving in perfect silence. The aliens had posted guards outside but never thought to check below. Junho used hand signals to direct his team. They moved through the building like ghosts. The first alien guard died before he realized humans were there. A single bullet to the head. The armor the alien wore might as well have been nothing. The second guard tried to sound an alarm but died with his hand still reaching for the button. The squad moved floor by floor. Quick and efficient. They had trained for this. They knew where aliens would post guards. They knew which rooms would hold commanders. They knew how to kill each species quickly and quietly. By the time the aliens realized they were under attack, half their command staff was already dead. The survivors tried to organize a defense, but Junho's squad had cut their communications. Each alien died alone, wondering what was happening, why their weapons seemed useless against human armor, why their calls for help went unanswered. Junho found the alien governor in what used to be the Prime Minister's office. The creature looked like a tall insect with too many eyes. It saw Junho and reached for a weapon. Hunyo shot it twice. Center mass. The alien collapsed. "Command post secure," Junho reported into his radio. "No human casualties. All alien personnel eliminated." Across London, similar scenes played out in a dozen locations. Human soldiers struck from underground tunnels and hidden passages. They hit fast and hard. Within 2 hours, every alien military installation in the city was destroyed or captured. The aliens who survived fled in panic, calling for help that would not come. In space, Captain Taewon led the second wave. While Jiwan's fighters kept the alien fleet busy, larger human ships emerged from the far side of the moon. These were not fighters. These were warships. Real warships that humanity had been building in secret for 3 years. They were beautiful and terrible. Sleek hulls covered in weapons. Advanced engines that pushed them to speeds the aliens thought impossible. Shields that actually worked against both energy and kinetic weapons because humanity had learned from alien mistakes. Taewon stood on his bridge and watched the tactical display. The alien fleet was in chaos. Ships burning, formations broken, commanders screaming conflicting orders. This was the moment. "All ships," he said calmly. "Open fire." The human warships unleashed hell. Railguns fired solid rounds at a significant fraction of light speed. Missiles with fusion warheads streaked toward alien vessels. Laser batteries designed to cut through armor like butter. Every weapon system fired at once. The alien fleet did not stand a chance. They were already damaged from the fighter attack, already disorganized, already panicking. The arrival of human capital ships broke whatever remained of their discipline. Some aliens tried to fight back. Others tried to flee. Most just died. Admiral Krennic's flagship took 3 railgun rounds to the engine section. The ship lost power. Emergency systems failed. He felt the deck tilt as artificial gravity fluctuated. Around him, his bridge crew shouted in fear. "Abandon ship!" Krennic ordered. But there was nowhere to go. Human fighters hunted down escape pods. The few that made it to Earth's surface were met by human ground forces. The Holvath Empire's occupation fleet was being completely destroyed, but Earth was only the beginning. General Hugh had no intention of stopping at liberation. He remembered every species that voted to enslave humanity. He remembered every representative who raised their hand in agreement. 40 species had endorsed Earth's slavery. All 40 would pay. Admiral Yunji received her orders with satisfaction. She commanded humanity's deep space fleet, ships designed for long-range missions, ships that could strike anywhere in the galaxy. Her target was the Viscari Collective's nearest colony world. The trip took 3 weeks at maximum speed. The Viscari had no warning. Why would they? As far as they knew, humanity was still under occupation on Earth. They did not know the occupation had failed. They did not know human ships were coming. Yunji's fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Vescari system. Sensors immediately showed 36 orbital platforms, industrial stations, mining facilities, 2 small defense fleets, all protecting a colony of 6 million Viscari. "Open a channel," Yunji ordered. Her communication officer worked the controls. A moment later, Yunji's face appeared on every screen in the Viscari system. Every ship, every station, every home on the colony world below. She spoke in perfect Vescari language. "I am Admiral Yunji of the Human Defense Fleet. 3 months ago, your government voted to enslave my species. You endorsed our chains. You celebrated our subjugation. Now you will learn the cost of that decision." The Vescari colony commander responded immediately. His voice shook with confusion and fear. "What are you talking about? Humanity is under council administration. You cannot be here. This is impossible. Your occupation force on Earth is dead," Yunji said flatly. "Every ship destroyed. Every soldier killed. Earth is free, and now we come for those who tried to take our freedom." "Wait," the commander begged. "We can negotiate. We can discuss terms. Please, we have civilians here, women and children." Yunji's expression did not change. "You had no mercy for our women and children. You planned to breed us like animals, to use us as slaves. You showed us what you are. Now we show you what we are." She cut the channel and turned to her weapons officer. "Fire." The human fleet opened up on the Vescari stations. Missiles and railguns and lasers tore through defensive platforms. The Vescari defense fleet tried to respond, but they were small system defense ships, not designed for real combat. Human warships cut through them like a hot knife through butter. Within an hour, every orbital installation was destroyed. Debris rained down on the colony world below. The Vescari on the surface watched their protection burn in the sky. They knew what came next. Yunji did not bombard the planet. She did not kill civilians, but she did destroy every spaceport, every landing pad, every communications array, every power generation facility. She left the Vescari alive but stranded, cut off from the rest of their civilization, unable to call for help, unable to leave. Before she departed, Yunji sent one final message to the terrified colonists below. "Tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them humanity remembers. Tell them we are coming for everyone who voted to enslave us. And tell them this was mercy compared to what others will receive." Commander Inha coordinated the attacks from Earth. Her screens showed operations across 20 star systems, human fleets striking Yilian Federation outposts, human special forces sabotaging Talsic Consortium trade routes, human agents spreading chaos through alien communication networks. Each target had been carefully chosen. Species that voted for humanity's enslavement, worlds that were important but not critical, colonies and outposts and industrial centers. Humanity was not trying to conquer. They were sending a message written in fire and blood. The Galactic Council tried to organize a response. The Supreme Arbiter called emergency sessions. Representatives from 40 species gathered to discuss what to do about the human uprising. They could not believe what was happening. Humanity had been defeated. Humanity had been occupied. How were they fighting back? The stone being who had advocated for humanity's enslavement spoke with growing panic. "This is impossible. Our intelligence said humanity had no real military. They had merchant ships and research vessels. Nothing more. They lied," another representative said. "They hid their true capabilities. They played weak while building weapons in secret." The Supreme Arbiter's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "We must respond with force. Send the full Council fleet to crush this rebellion before it spreads." But the Council fleet was scattered across the galaxy. It would take months to assemble them. Months during which human fleets continued their rampage. Each day brought news of another attack. Another colony hit. Another station destroyed. Another species begging for mercy. Some species tried to S. The trials began 5 years after the first shot was fired. Humanity had won the war. Now came the judgment. Judge Minho sat behind a massive desk in what had once been the Galactic Council chamber. The same room where 40 species voted to enslave humanity now served as a courtroom. Human guards stood at every entrance. Human flags hung where alien banners once displayed. The first defendant was brought in wearing restraints, former Supreme Arbiter of the Galactic Council. Its crystalline body had dimmed since its capture. Fear did that to its species. It no longer glowed with confidence and authority. Now it looked like cloudy glass, dull and lifeless. Minho read the charges. You stand accused of crimes against sentient species. You orchestrated the attempted enslavement of 8 billion human beings. You voted to strip humanity of all rights and freedoms. You planned our extermination within a single generation. How do you plead? The arbiter's voice came through translators. It sounded weak and broken. I followed galactic law. The council had authority to designate species status. What we did was legal under council charter. Legal. Minho repeated the word slowly. You believe law justifies evil? We acted within our rights as the governing body of civilized space. Minho leaned forward. His eyes were hard. Humanity had similar excuses once. We had laws that permitted slavery. We had leaders who claimed their authority made their actions legal. Do you know what we did to those leaders when we finally recognized their evil? The arbiter said nothing. We held them accountable, Minho continued. We put them on trial. We judged them by a higher law than the ones they wrote to justify their crimes. You claimed authority to enslave us. Now we claim authority to judge you. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Prosecutors presented evidence of the conspiracy. Documents showing the council planned Earth's occupation years before first contact. Communications revealing they knew humanity would resist and decided to enslave them anyway. Records of meetings where council members discussed how to breed humans for specific labor tasks. Commander Suji served as military prosecutor. She was relentless. She showed footage of what happened to the humans the aliens captured in those first 3 months. Humans forced to work until their bodies gave out. Humans beaten for showing defiance. Humans separated from their families and shipped to different worlds like cargo. You claimed this was administration, Suji said, her voice cutting like a blade. You claimed you were helping humanity by giving us purpose and direction. These images show the truth. You planned genocide? Slow genocide over generations, but genocide nonetheless. Defense counsel argued that the arbiter was following precedent. Other species had been designated as servitors before. The council had authority granted by treaty. The arbiter personally believed it was acting in the galaxy's best interest. Minho listened to every argument. Then he delivered the verdict. Guilty on all charges. The sentence is life imprisonment without possibility of release. You will spend the remainder of your existence in confinement, contemplating the cost of your decisions. The arbiter was led away. It would live for 300 more years in a small cell alone with its thoughts. Some called it mercy. The arbiter would have preferred execution. One by one, other council members faced trial. The stone being who advocated so strongly for humanity's enslavement. The insect collective that provided intelligence reports declaring humans too dangerous to remain free. The energy being that calculated Earth's economic value and recommended exploitation. Not all received the same sentence. Judge Minho and his fellow judges carefully weighed each case. Some council members had voted for enslavement reluctantly, swayed by false information. They received lighter sentences and requirements for restitution. Others had eagerly pushed for humanity's subjugation. They received the harshest punishments. Agent Seojin uncovered the full extent of the conspiracy during his investigation. He was humanity's best intelligence officer, patient and thorough. He spent 2 years following paper trails through council archives. What he found horrified even those who had fought in the war. The conspiracy went back decades. Long before humanity achieved spaceflight, the council knew Earth existed. They monitored human development and debated what to do about it. Some wanted to make contact and offer friendship. Others wanted to wait until humanity was more advanced. But a third faction wanted to prevent humanity from ever becoming a threat. That faction won. They planned everything, First Contact was deliberately designed to assess humanity's military capabilities. The cultural exchange programs were intelligence-gathering operations. The trade agreements gave aliens access to Earth's resources, and all of it was preparation for the occupation. Seojin presented his findings to the public. Humanity learned that their attempted enslavement was not a sudden decision born from fear. It was a calculated plan executed over decades. Every friendly gesture from the council had been a lie. Every smile had hidden contempt. Every promise had been empty. The revelation changed things. Some humans had argued for mercy toward the aliens. They said the council members were just following orders or acting on fear. But Seojin's evidence showed deliberate malice, showed species that knew exactly what they were doing and did it anyway. Public opinion hardened. Calls for harsher punishments grew louder. Humanity had tried to be civilized. They had tried to show they were better than their worst history. But the evidence of alien deception made them reconsider. Scientist Yuna developed the solution. She was a psychologist who specialized in rehabilitation and education. If aliens could not be trusted to understand right and wrong on their own, then humanity would teach them. The re-education programs began with the younger generation of surviving aliens. Children and adolescents who had not participated in the vote to enslave humanity, but grew up in cultures that supported it. Yuna designed curriculum that taught them human history. Not just the glorious parts, everything. Alien students learned about human slavery, about how humans had enslaved each other based on skin color and nationality. They learned about genocides, about the Holocaust and the killing fields, and the countless atrocities humans had committed against their own species. They learned how much death and suffering humans caused before learning to value freedom and equality. You see, Yuna would tell them, we know what you tried to do to us. We know because we did it to ourselves first. We have been both slave and master, both victim and oppressor. That is why we will never allow it to happen again. The alien students were required to visit historical sites. They walked through preserved concentration camps. They saw memorials to the victims of slavery. They read testimonies from survivors of human cruelty. And then they were shown what humanity built after learning from those mistakes. Museums of human rights, libraries dedicated to freedom and justice, monuments to those who fought against oppression, art and literature celebrating the value of every sentient life, music composed to honor dignity and equality. This is what we became, Yuna would say, after we chose to be better. This is what your species can become if you learn the same lessons we did. Not all aliens accepted the education. Some clung to their old beliefs. They insisted their species were superior, and humans were dangerous primitives. Those aliens remained in detention centers, unable to rejoin galactic society. But many did learn, especially the young ones who had not yet formed rigid opinions. They began to understand what their elders had tried to do. They began to feel shame for their species' actions, and some began to work toward redemption. Governor Hiram oversaw the reconstruction of alien societies. She was firm but not cruel. Her job was to ensure that the species which surrendered to humanity would never threaten freedom again. That meant dismantling their old power structures and building new ones. Military forces were reduced to small self-defense units. No species was allowed to maintain a fleet capable of interstellar warfare. Weapons development was strictly monitored. Any sign of military buildup resulted in immediate intervention. Political systems were reformed. Species that had been ruled by dictators or oligarchies were helped to develop more democratic structures, not human-style democracy necessarily. Different species had different needs. But every new system had to include protections for individual rights and safeguards against tyranny. Economic exploitation was ended. Species that had grown wealthy by enslaving others found their economies collapsed. Humanity offered aid but with strict conditions. No more slave labor. No more forced breeding programs. No more treating sentient beings as property. Some aliens protested that humanity was doing to them what the Council tried to do to humanity. Forcing change, imposing values, treating them like children who needed guidance. Governor Hiram had a simple response. We do not enslave you. We do not take your freedom. We do not breed you like animals. We simply make sure you never do those things to others again. If you call that oppression, then you do not understand what oppression means. Monitoring stations were established throughout former Council space. Human observers watched for signs of returning supremacist ideology. Schools were inspected to ensure they taught proper values. Media was reviewed to prevent the spread of hateful propaganda. Churches and cultural centers were mown. 50 years had passed since the vote that changed everything. Chancellor Soo-hyun stood at the viewing window of Unity Station, looking down at Earth below. The planet was green and blue and beautiful, peaceful. Hard to believe this world had nearly been enslaved. Harder still to believe what came after. The galaxy was different now, completely different. The old Galactic Council was gone, replaced by the Federation of Free Worlds. The name was humanity's choice, a reminder of what they fought for, a warning of what they would fight for again if necessary. Soo-hyun was old now. She had been a young soldier during the war. She remembered fighting in the streets of Tokyo against Vescari occupation forces, remembered the rage she felt watching aliens claim her home. She still carried that rage, but it had changed over the decades, cooled into something harder and more purposeful. She turned from the window as her assistant entered. Director Kyung had been born after the war. She represented the new generation of humans who grew up in a galaxy where humanity ruled. Different perspective, different challenges. The annual memorial is ready, Kyung said. Representatives from 30 species have arrived to participate. 30, Soo-hyun repeated. Not 40. 10 species no longer exist to send representatives. Kyung's voice was neutral. Stating facts without judgment, Soo-hyun nodded. She knew the numbers. Everyone knew the numbers. 10 species fought to extinction rather than surrender. Their choice. Humanity offered terms. They refused. History would debate whether humanity should have tried harder to preserve them. But history was written by survivors, and humanity survived. The memorial ceremony was held in the same chamber where the original vote took place. The wall still bore scorch marks from the day human soldiers stormed the building during the liberation. Humanity kept those marks deliberately. Reminders, warnings. 50 years ago, 40 species sat in this chamber and voted to enslave humanity. Now 30 species knelt before human authority and pledged their loyalty to the principles of freedom. The ceremony happened every year. Required attendance for all member species of the Federation. Ambassador Youngjae conducted the ceremony. He was a diplomat, skilled at finding the right words for difficult situations. We gather here to remember, he began. To remember what happened in this chamber. To remember what came after. To remember the cost of tyranny and the price of freedom. Alien representatives bowed their heads. Some looked ashamed. Others looked resigned. All looked respectful. They knew what would happen if they did not show proper respect. Humanity had long memories and longer reach. 50 years ago, your governments voted to enslave 8 billion human beings. Youngjae continued. You declared us property. You planned to breed us like animals. You thought we were weak. You thought kindness meant inability to fight. You were wrong. He gestured to the walls, to the scorch marks and the damage. Humanity responded with fury. We burned fleets. We shattered empires. We erased civilizations that refused to surrender. We showed you what happens when you mistake peace for weakness. The alien representatives remained silent. This was not their time to speak. They were here to listen, to remember, to understand that their survival was conditional on their continued obedience. But we also showed mercy, Youngjae said, his voice softening slightly. We did not exterminate all of you. We offered terms. We helped you rebuild. We taught your children better values than your elders held. We gave you a chance to earn redemption. He paused, looking at each alien representative. That chance remains open. But so does the alternative. We remember what you tried to do to us. We will always remember, and if you ever forget, we will remind you. The ceremony ended with a moment of silence for the humans who died during the 3 months of occupation, for the thousands who suffered under alien cruelty before liberation came. Their names were displayed on the walls, glowing in soft light. A reminder of what humanity fought for. After the ceremony, Soo-hyun met with her cabinet. These were the leaders who governed the Federation. Some were military officers like General Seong. Others were civilians like Director Kyung. All shared the same purpose, ensuring slavery never returned to the galaxy. The Telrani system is showing concerning signs, Seong reported. He was younger than Soo-hyun but already gray-haired. The stress of command did that to people. Our observers report increasing rhetoric about species purity and natural hierarchy. Soo-hyun frowned. The Telrani surrendered 40 years ago. They signed the treaty. They agreed to our terms. A new generation has grown up, Kyung explained. They did not live through the war. They only know stories. Some question whether humanity really has the right to dictate their culture. Send a delegation, Soo-hyun decided. Make it clear this is not negotiable. If they want to debate philosophy, fine. But the moment they start advocating for hierarchy and subjugation, we act. Seong nodded. And if they refuse to comply? Soo-hyun's expression hardened. Then we remind them what happened to the 10 species that refused before. We did not build this peace to let it crumble because some fools forgot why it exists. This was the reality of humanity's rule. Constant vigilance, endless monitoring, always ready to respond to threats before they grew dangerous. Some humans questioned whether it was sustainable, whether humanity could maintain this level of control forever. But those who remembered the vote knew there was no choice. Education remained a cornerstone of the Federation. Director Kyung oversaw academies on 100 worlds. Young aliens learned alongside young humans. They studied history together, learned about tyranny and freedom, about the cost of supremacist ideology, about the importance of protecting the rights of all sentient beings. The curriculum was carefully designed. It did not paint humanity as perfect. Students learned about Earth's dark history, about human slavery and genocide, about all the terrible things humans did to each other before learning better. We show them our scars, Kyung explained to new teachers. We show them we understand evil because we committed it ourselves. That gives us credibility. That makes them listen when we say never again. One of her star students was a young Viscari named Kelnis. His grandparents had been part of the occupation force on Earth. His parents grew up in re-education centers. He was born into a galaxy where Viscari no longer ruled anything and existed only by human mercy. Kelnis excelled in his studies. He wrote essays about the corruption of power and the importance of individual liberty. He volunteered at centers helping former slaves from species humanity had liberated from other oppressors. He genuinely believed in the Federation's principles. Why? Kyung asked him once. Your species tried to enslave humanity. We destroyed your empire. Why do you support us? Kelnis thought carefully before answering. Because you were right and we were wrong. That is difficult for my people to accept. We were powerful. We were ancient. We thought that made us wise. But power does not grant wisdom. Age does not guarantee morality. Humanity taught us that. Do you resent us? Sometimes, he admitted. When I see humans giving orders to Viscari elders. When I remember we once thought ourselves superior. But then I remember what my grandparents planned to do to your species. What they would have done to any species they considered beneath them. And I am grateful you stopped them. Even if the method was brutal, students like Kelnis gave humanity hope. Proof that re-education could work. That species could change. That the galaxy could become better than it was. But not everyone changed. Some clung to old hatreds. Some plotted revenge. Some waited for humanity to grow weak or distracted. General Seung's job was to ensure that day never came. Human fleets patrolled the major trade routes. Monitoring stations watched every system. Intelligence officers like Agent Seojin, now old and training the next generation, kept their ears open for whispers of rebellion. The military presence was vast and constant. We cannot occupy every world forever, some critics argued. Eventually, we will have to trust them. Seung's response was always the same. We will trust them when they earn it. Not before. The moment we lower our guard is the moment they try again. Human nature learned to be better through terrible experience. Alien nature needs the same lessons. Until those lessons stick, we remain vigilant. Trade flourished under the Federation. With no wars to fight and no slavery to sustain exploitative economics, species focused on cooperation and mutual benefit. Technology advanced faster than ever. Art and culture mixed between species. For many beings, life was better now than under the old council, but that prosperity came with a price. Freedom purchased through overwhelming force. Peace maintained through the threat of annihilation. Justice enforced by species who learned justice through becoming its victims. Historian Haeun spent her life documenting everything. She was ancient now, over 90 years old, but still sharp. She had started her work during the war and never stopped. Her archives contained every testimony, every document, every image, everything humanity needed to remember. Why do you do this? young historians asked her. The war is over. We won. The war is never over, Hyun replied. Peace is just the pause between wars. The moment we forget what happened, the moment we think we can relax, that is when evil returns. My job is to make sure humanity never forgets, never forgives, never becomes complacent.